Kevin De Bruyne secures the win with a moment of brilliance to help Manchester City stretch their lead at the top of the Premier League table. Watch until the end of this review to hear all of my thoughts on today's match. Hello people, welcome to my channel, welcome to another video. This is my review of the match that took place earlier on today at the Etihad Stadium in the Premier League between Manchester City and Chelsea, which ended in a 1-0 victory for Manchester City. So what I'm going to do for you guys in terms of this review is that firstly I will run you through the lineup that Thomas Tuchel fielded at the start of today's match against Manchester City. I will then be giving you guys my thoughts on the match, and of course I'll be breaking it down into the first half and the second half, and then I'll be giving you guys the positives and the negatives that I took from the match, and lastly I'll be giving you guys my thoughts or my brief thoughts on Chelsea's upcoming Premier League fixture that will be taking place next Tuesday at the MCICHE Stadium against Brighton and Hove Albion, with kick-off at 7:30 p.m. UK time. So without further ado, let's get straight into this review. So we begin this review by taking a look at the lineup that Thomas Tuchel fielded at the start of today's match against Manchester City, and yes, we will kick this section of this review off by talking about the formation that he chose. And in the case of this lineup that I'm going to run you through, it was a 3-4-3/3-4-2-1, and yes, in my preview I did say that I went with a 4-4-2, but Thomas Tuchel decided to go with a 3-4-3/3-4-2-1, which is fair enough because that is the formation that we're more accustomed to. But anyways, that's the formation for you guys. In terms of the personnel that he chose, it was Kepa in goal. The back three comprised of Antonio Rudiger in the right centre-back position, Thiago Silva in the centre of our back three, with Malang Sarr in the left centre-back position. The midfield four, including the two wing-backs, and again from right to left, was Cesar Azpilicueta in the right wing-back position. The central midfield pairing was N'Golo Kante and Mateo Kovacic, and it was Marcos Alonso in the left wing-back position, and that's the midfield four that was fielded. And the front three that was fielded today was Christian Pulisic in the right forward position, Romelu Lukaku up front, and Hakim Ziyech in the left forward position. So that is the lineup that Thomas Tuchel fielded at the start of today's match against Manchester City. Now, in terms of my thoughts on the match, and yes, I will begin by getting into my thoughts on the first half. I'll be honest, we did make a good start to the match. We were ready to defend and defend well, which is what we did. We did have a few opportunities to hit Manchester City on the counter-attack, and I have to say that we did get into very good positions when we did have the opportunity to do so, but it was just the final ball. Manchester City did have a few decent chances of their own, but thankfully we were resolute at the back, bar a few mistakes towards the end of the first half, which I'll get into. But I thought that we were really solid. Didn't have a single shot in the first half, and therefore no shots on target from us in the first half. But I felt that we held our own and we just waited for the opportunity, which I felt was a good approach. It was certainly better than the approach from the reverse fixture where we just did next to nothing in that game. But anyways, I thought we were solid. Yes, I have to be honest, the passing in the final third in the first half was absolutely atrocious. I mean, Hakim Ziyech had that chance where he used his left foot to try and pass the ball to Romelu Lukaku instead of using his right, and he ended up overhitting the pass, and it was a poor piece of play from him. He didn't have a great first half in my opinion whatsoever. He didn't have any impact on the game. Yes, he did win a couple of free kicks, but that was pretty much it. His passes were awful. and I'm a big fan of Hakim Ziyech, so I hope this does not sound like I'm slating him in any way, shape or form. I'm just being completely honest, and the same can be said about Christian Pulisic. And I felt that Christian Pulisic was even worse than Hakim Ziyech was in the first half because Christian Pulisic didn't do anything. He took too long on the ball, and he gave it away quite a few times. And you can even say the same about Romelu Lukaku, who I thought rather, had a few chances to keep the ball and lay it off and bring others into play by doing so, but he lost the ball quite easily in the first half. And yes, he didn't get a lot of service, but when he did get it, he lost the ball. He either lost the ball or he just didn't win it. So you can say that our front three in you can say that our front three in the first half wasn't great because it certainly wasn't. Overall, though, I felt as though it was I keep saying I thought it was an even first half. I thought we were in the game. We had some decent opportunities to create some opportunities. We just didn't make the most of them. Manchester City did almost get a goal at the end of the half when Mateo Kovacic gave the ball away, and thankfully Kepa made a great save from a shot that Jack Grealish really should have from a Jack Grealish attempt that really should have saw the back of the net on. Okay, let me start that again. Kepa made a really good save, but I have to say that Jack Grealish really should have scored. But it was a good save from Kepa. But overall, we were in the game in the first half, had some decent chances to create chances, like I've said already. But it's just the play in the final third that was poor, in my opinion. But in terms of my thoughts on the second half, I felt as though um, actually, before I get into that, I'm just going to say that another thing that I have to say about us in the first half is that we passed the ball back to our goalkeeper a lot and we kept passing the ball backwards a lot. I almost forgot that. My apologies. But, anyways, we get into my thoughts on the second half, and I felt. There we go again, I keep saying that. I thought we made a good start to the second half. We had a glorious opportunity to open the scoring through Romelu Lukaku, who instead of trying to chip Edison or go around him, and tap it home. He tries to bend it past him, and that was never going to work because of the size of Edison. And then it fell to Hakim Ziyech, who blazed the ball over the bar, and both of them should have done better. Especially Romelu Lukaku because he had a better chance than Hakim Ziyech did. His chance was a bit more difficult, but honestly, that should have resulted in a goal. It was a brilliant move. We started the second half really well, but after that, we just got back into our shell again. Um, we did remain compact for the most part, but then the goal came, and I have to say it's a moment of brilliance from Kevin De Bruyne. Yes, Kante did. He didn't do well enough to stop Kevin De Bruyne from running through, and he did exactly that. But you have to put some question marks on the defending and the defense for this goal because Thiago Silva, I love the guy. He's a brilliant defender, but the way, not just Thiago Silva, the entire back three, to be honest, the way they were just standing off Kevin De Bruyne is not good enough. Get closer to him, stop him from taking the shot. That's what you're meant to do. You're defenders, you're meant to do that. And Kepa, you can argue, didn't help himself either because he did shift to the other side and he couldn't get back in time. But you can't take anything away from Kevin De Bruyne. It was a fantastic shot, and that ends up winning them the game. After that, they did have a couple of chances to increase their lead, but thankfully we managed to get back in time and stop them from doing so. We did have a few other opportunities, but they weren't really threatening chances. They didn't really threaten Manchester City, but Thomas Tuchel brought on some substitutes, and honestly, I just don't know. I just don't know because honestly, we had we had we had we ha- we could have gotten a draw from this game. We could have gotten something from this game had we taken our chances. I mean, that Romelu Lukaku chance, he should have taken that, and it's as simple as that. But honestly, I'm disappointed overall. I'm not too disappointed in the performance, especially from a defensive point of view. My problem is the way we attacked Manchester City. We didn't do enough of it. We honestly, it's just. Do you know what? Let me just get into the positives and the negatives that I took from the match because I'm starting to stutter and I don't like doing that. But yes, one positive, two negatives. The only positive that I took from the match is that we were solid and pressed well for part in we were solid and pressed well in parts of the match. We couldn't do it for the whole match, but we were pretty solid, especially in the first half and in parts of the second half before the goal. But yes, we did press them, and we did win the ball back from them in certain parts of the game, but we did nothing with it, and that's the problem that I have with this performance or parts of this performance. And let's get into the negatives because they do elaborate on what I've just said. Two negatives. The first one is that we gave the ball away and didn't do enough to stop Kevin De Bruyne from getting into an advanced position. I've touched on this already, so I'm just going to leave it as that. The second and final negative that I took from the match is that we were very slow in the final third. Honestly, I've not seen us play that slow in a long while. It's not good enough. It needs to change because we're going to be coming up against some strong opposition in our coming games. Brighton and Hove Albion have been doing really well this season, and they will be very difficult to play against. And I'll get into that in more detail later on in this review. And we've got Tottenham Hotspur next week, so that's next week Sunday. So that's not going to be an easy game at all. But yes, we were very slow in the final third today. But anyways, that concludes my thoughts on today's match against Manchester City, which Chelsea lost by 1-0. Please, guys, do drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll do my very best to respond. We're now going to move on to the final part of this review, which is my thoughts on our upcoming Premier League fixture against Brighton and Hove Albion next Tuesday. Let's do it. Now, to finish off this review, I am going to give you guys my thoughts on our upcoming Premier League game that will be taking place next Tuesday at the Amex Stadium against Brighton and Hove Albion, with kickoff at 7:30 p.m. UK time. Honestly, if we're to get anything from this game, we have to do a lot better than we did today. Especially in the final third. I'll keep saying it until it actually happens. We need to improve in the final third. Defensively, I thought we were all right until the goal was scored. Yes, there were a few mistakes, but we managed to get back and do the job. But honestly, it still needs to improve because the goal saw a lot of mistakes made by our defence and possibly our goalkeeper. But honestly, it's going to be a tough game against Brighton. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we win because we've not won too many Premier League games recently. We need to start winning some games again and start keeping some clean sheets as well, because we haven't kept a clean sheet in the Premier League in a very long time. I think the last time we kept a clean sheet in the Premier League was against Leicester City at the King Power Stadium, where we managed to beat them by 3-0, and that's a long time ago. Actually, no, I lie. It was the game against Wolves. But yes, even that was a long time ago, just over a month. But yes, we haven't kept a clean sheet in a long time, and it's about time we did so again. So that's all I'm going to say. I will be doing a preview for that. It will be coming out on Monday. So do stay tuned. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all very soon. Come on, you Blues. Come on, Thomas Tuchel, and peace.